Warning, listening to this show may result in increased levels of inspiration, motivation, and innovation. Side effects can include the immediate urge to take massive action to build a better business and life for yourself and others. You've been warned. Welcome to Influencers Radio with your host, Jack Mize.
And welcome back to another episode of Influencers Radio. Well, this episode today is something that's near and dear to me because it's something that I've been thinking about a lot lately. I turned 50 this year, and even though I said that, I'm not one of those type of people that go through the midlife crisis or 50, it's just a number. It's not that huge of a milestone for me. It does make you start thinking about a few things. And one of the things I've thought about recently is it realistic for someone in their 40s or 50s and beyond to actually be in the best shape of their life, not just mentally, but physically. Even if they haven't been so kind to their bodies in quite some time, if I'm to be honest with myself. My guest today says absolutely. In fact, today at 43 years old, he says he's in better shape than he was when he left college. And so are many of his clients that are in their late 50s. Dave McGarry has helped hundreds of people transform their lives. For the past 2 decades, he's worked with men and women of all ages, regardless of where they are starting from, to improve their health and their quality of life through his personal training and fitness coaching. Dave specializes in working with men and women who are not happy because they realize that their bodies just don't look and feel as young and active as their minds. But he doesn't just focus on weight loss, but he helps them to create the mindset and recognize those limiting beliefs that are preventing them from achieving their fitness goals. And then he coaches them through and to be able to break through those barriers to attain a level of fitness that they just didn't think was possible at their age. He's also the host of the Fit Over 40 Challenge podcast, as well as the best-selling author of the book, Fit Over 40 Challenge. Dave McGarry, welcome to Influencers Radio.
Hey, thanks a lot for having me, Jack.
Well, you know what? This is a great episode for me because I've got a lot of questions that I'd like to have answered just for my own benefit. And I know a lot of people are having the same questions in different parts of their lives as we get older and we feel our bodies might be outpacing our minds as far as aging. I think it was Mickey Mantle had a great quote that was, if I knew I was going to live this long, I'd have taken better care of myself. And as I've gotten older, that quote becomes more and more clear and makes more and more sense to me. So let's start there. Is that kind of where you see a lot of your clients that you work with are kind of have that thought that, what's happened? I've let myself go and I don't like the way it feels.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They get to that point, they finally made that decision that they need to change. And that's really key right there, is to come to that decision that something has to change. And they know that what they've been doing hasn't been working. So they seek someone, professional, and that's kind of where they come to. They come to me and say, hey, I need your help.
Now, you said something there that what they've been doing hasn't been working. And how many of the people that come to you, what they've been doing is nothing?
Yeah. Well, sometimes they come to me and say, first I got to do something before I come see you. But most of the time, yeah, they're inactive. I mean, that's the way our society is right now. I mean, we're less active now than we were 10 years ago. I mean, even 5 years ago with the amount of advancement with technology. So a lot of times we're sedentary. We're just, not doing normal everyday things that we used to do that actually created some activity in our lives.
And do you see that? Because, there's some people that will finally get it. There'll be something that happens in their lives, or, somebody says something, or they go to that reunion, or they do something that hits them and makes them think, all right, enough is enough. I've got to do something. But I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that have told themselves, you know what, it's too late. You know, I'm too old to get into shape. I've let myself go. This is the body that I've been dealt, and I'm just going to make the best of it.
You know, sometimes it does happen to be when they see their physician. I remember listening to John Maxwell speak one time, and he had a mild heart attack at like the age of 45 or something like that. And he said, you know, unfortunately, that's what made him make the decision to change. And that typically is what happens is that, you know, they'll go to the physician, do a physical, and, you know, all their numbers are, you know, beyond what they should be. You know, they're heavier than they've ever been. And so they get to that breaking point and realize, okay, I've got two choices. I can either continue to go down this path of, you know, not being healthy and not being fit, or I can try to make a change and get back to where I was, you know, 5-10 years ago.
And that's the one thing I can imagine, especially with the folks that you work with, because you work with a lot of women, some men. And what would you say the percentage of them are that, hey, you know, I really want to get that beach body versus, hey, I'm worried about my health. I need to do something.
Yeah. I mean, if I was to break down, I mean, I'm sure that most of them would love to have that look again that they did when they were in their teens and 20s. But majority, I would say probably about 60 to 75% are looking to just getting back to where, you know, pre-baby weight before they had kids, you know, to that point to where they were right after college, where they just didn't kind of get in that comfort zone and let themselves slide. So it's not a huge percentage. I mean, there are still some that, you know, would love to get that look, but majority is more about a health and wellness type fitness approach.
And I think that's interesting. Maybe that comes with age. And I know vanity, you know, isn't a stranger to any age.
Yeah,
but it seems to me that, you know, especially when people hit those milestone ages, you know, 40, 45, 50, that, you know, hey, I want to lose 20 pounds by next month so I can look hot at the the reunion. What do you say to the folks? And I don't know if you have a lot of folks that, you know, have those thoughts, especially when they do hit those milestones. If people come and say, hey, you know, I'm ready. I want to lose 20 pounds by, you know, in the next 45 days because I want to be ready for the beach. I guess it's really the quick fix for weight loss, because that seems to be what is being sold so much when you watch the infomercials, when you watch the here, drink this shake, or here, eat this prepackaged meal. You can lose weight faster than you can other ways. Talk about the benefits or the mindset around that quick fix weight loss versus doing it for health reasons, or to actually change your life rather than get ready for an event that's coming up.
Yeah. And, you know, that's our society, right? We want it now. I always talk about how my kids driving down the street and they hear a song and they're like, hey, can we download that song? And of course we hit the button and it downloads, right? But we had to use cassette recorders to tape it. So we had to wait. And they don't like to do that. And that's kind of where this, you know, the marketing side of it's coming, that they can, you know, lose weight in 10 days and have the beach body that they want. But really what it comes down to when I work with clients is that they've got to develop their why. There's got to be a bigger purpose behind it. You know, when you sit there and say, I want to lose 10 pounds, okay, well, why do you want to lose 10 pounds? You really need to find out the deeper issue, where the pain point comes from, because it could be that, hey, you know what, my spouse really doesn't seem to find me attractive. So it's kind of them thinking, hey, I need to start being healthier again so that I look attractive to my spouse. Or, I've got, some health issues that are going on that if I keep going this way, that's not good for my future, for my family. So I try to really focus in on their why, the bigger purpose behind it, and that pain point, because there's a larger issue at hand than just, hey, I want to lose weight because I've got a reunion coming up. It could be that, hey, you know what? I was always the one who was overweight, and I want to look good, and I want people to say, hey, and vanity does come into play. I mean, we're human. That's part of it. So there's a lot of little things you got to dig deeper, and that's really the issue. I think that most people they just say, hey, I want it now, but they don't understand why they want it now, and that is a key issue right there.
And that's one thing, and I noticed, especially in the language that you use, and some of the stories that you talk about in your book and the Fit Over 40 Challenge, about you don't just talk about weight loss, you also talk about that quality of life, like you were just talking about, and it occurs to me when you mention about your spouse or your family that it's not just your quality of life, but I guess when you improve your health, you're also improving not just your own quality of life, but you're also improving the quality of life of those around you, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, unfortunately, my father passed away at 67 from a massive heart attack. And he was in an era where they drank a lot, they smoked a lot, they ate lots of good, fattening food. And, his health became kind of an issue because I remember 6 months prior to him passing, I told my wife, I said, I don't think he has much longer to live. And it bothered me. And being in the fitness industry, I felt like, there's something I had to do. I had to make him change. Of course, I realized that I can't. But yeah, there's a larger issue at stake. I mean, and that's why I feel like, if you're not going to do it for yourself, you need to do it for others. And maybe that's the starting point for you. If you can't do it for yourself, maybe do it for your family, do it for your kids, maybe do it for your grandkids. Think about the impact, that you could have on younger generations by you being around and being healthy. So yeah, absolutely.
One of the things with the why, especially in this environment, and not really taking any political sides or anything with this, but the cost of healthcare is really rising on a lot of different levels. And I know when I was at my doctor last, and we were doing my 50,000 mile tune-up check that I was going through, he had a talk with me, and he said, look, it's expensive to not be healthy. He said, if you think it's expensive to be healthy, it's a lot cheaper than not being healthy, because what it's going to cost for you to do that a gym membership, buying healthy foods, organic foods, or not buying the cheap fast foods, is, you may think it costs a lot, but it costs a lot less than being unhealthy. What do you say? Because I know that's a story, or some of the people say, I really don't have the time. I got a busy life. I don't have the money, or it's hard to eat healthy when you are busy. Fast foods, things like that. What do you say to the people that feel it's too inconvenient to improve their fitness? Yeah,
you kind of hit on that point about it, the cost. If you don't have time to be healthy now, then and financial resources to be healthy now, then you're really going to be at a loss later if you end up becoming sick, because it's much harder to regain health and wellness after you've lost it than to maintain it and to keep it. I had a conversation with a good friend of mine who's a doctor, and just talking about some of the drug prices and stuff. And obviously the whole industry has just changed in terms of, the past, it was a $20 copay, you get this drug, $10, you're good. Now, I mean, if you have to get on some of these drugs, you could be paying, monthly $100, 150, 200. I mean, you can get a gym membership and work with a trainer for a lot less than that on a monthly basis. And so if you don't make time now, you're gonna be sorry, because you're going to be making a lot of time sitting in the doctors. You're going to be making a lot of time and financial resources and planning with your budgets. If not, and unless we get control of that, you're going to be at a loss. So that's kind of, that issue there.
Yeah. I think a few years ago, my doctor, I think he put it to me bluntly and clearly when he said, look, your lifestyle is going to change over the next 12 months. It can either be by your choice or it's going to just happen. Right. So either you can decide that you're going to do something, or your body's going to decide that it wants diabetes, right? Or your body's going to decide that it wants the blood pressure high enough where you have to be on medication. And at that point, I think just that may overcome the story of I'm too old to get into shape, because it puts a little bit of a different spin on it. What do you say to the people that may not be at that point yet, but they're thinking, I'm really just too old to be in shape. I'm always going to be fat, because there's nothing that feels better. And I say this, it feels great to succeed at weight loss. It feels great to get on the scale and see that, hey, I've lost 5 pounds. But also when you get on the scale and when you've been on a diet and you gain a pound, it feels really great to quit, right? Quitting a diet,
Sure.
I think feels better than succeeding on a diet sometimes. And so what do you say with the people that get in that mindset that, this is, I'm at my fighting weight. This is kind of where I'm going to be now. I'm too old to really do anything about that. Or I'm not in the shape that I should be in. It would kill me if I went and tried to work out right now.
Yeah. And that's kind of where I take a little bit of a line from Stephen Covey in the 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, is you got to begin with the end in mind. And I know weight loss is always a big key factor, the scale. There's lots of different factors that focus in on that, whether or not you gain weight. You could be gaining a pound of muscle, and losing body fat. But I know that's always something that's hard for us to get into people's mind. But thinking about the future and thinking about what you want your life to be like and the activity level, because, you'd mentioned about type 2 diabetes. And again, I bring it back to my father who had it. And if you ever see somebody that goes through it and has issues with swollen feet and, they can't see very well, their eyesight, so, they become, essentially incapacitated in the sense that they don't do much but sit and, watch TV. I mean, and so if you want to have that lifestyle where you're able to do things, again, if you have kids or grandkids or, even if you're an active person in general, you like to travel. If you're not healthy and fit, and again, that's where my definition might be a little bit different than others in the sense that, it's not the rock solid 6-pack abs that makes you, fit and healthy. I mean, sure, that's that body physique that a lot of people strive for, but there's a lot of different things in terms of being able to do certain things, being able to go to, let's say, just go to Disney World and walk for 18 hours. I mean, so I try to essentially, again, go back to that reason why, and why would you want to be fit and healthy if you were, your quote and point, to live till you were 80. Would you want to be able to be functional for the next 40 years or be unfunctional and live, an unquality lifestyle?
Yeah, I think about that. And I can't remember what movie it's from, but somebody, an older guy that was clearly in not good shape, said, how's life? And his response was taken forever.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the person that and I know that this is common, and men and women, and I might be sounding a little sexist here because I joke with my wife sometimes about this, but it seems like two occasions come up when logic is thrown out. And one of them is when you have a housekeeper that's coming over, a maid coming to clean your house. And the other one is when you're starting a fitness program. My wife has said things like, the maid's coming, we need to clean up. And then it's like, well, I need to get in shape so I can start going to the gym. What do you say to people that think they need to wait to lose a few pounds or to get into shape before they hit the gym or start talking to a trainer?
Yeah, I get that pretty often, where I'll have someone talk to me and say, hey, I'm gonna call you up. I'm gonna use your services, but I gotta get in shape first. And I kind of just smile. And I say, okay, well, where are you going to start? What are you going to start doing? And I just try to start talking to them and finding out, and hopefully trying to steer it to the point where they say, you know what, hey, when you work with somebody that is a professional, they're going to guide you in the right way so that when you start doing something that you're not doing it wrong. And what I mean by that is that, you could be, going full tilt for 6-7 days a week and you get injured. We would never recommend something like that. So I try to, get them to understand that, hey, you've made the decision. Why don't you invest now a little bit in yourself and start working with somebody that can set you in the right path? Because honestly, everybody's different. Certain people start in different points. I mean, some people might never done anything and they really, really need to make sure they're doing everything right. And then somebody might be at the point where, hey, you know what? I got to tweak this and tweak that. So, well, let me help you tweak that. Let's see if you're doing it wrong, or let's see if, hey, we add this to that and it's going to help you. So
there's a chapter in your book, the Fit Over 40 Challenge, the power of changing one thing, because I know a lot of people when they decide that they're going to start a weight loss program or a fitness program, they go full speed ahead. And oftentimes, I don't know if you'd say go overboard, but they go at turbo speed, something that they can't maintain. I'm correct. Throwing out all the food and I'm getting nothing but, I'm going to eat nothing but spinach and celery and avocados for the next month. Right. And that doesn't work, but you have something that I thought was really interesting. That chapter in the book, The Power of Changing One Thing. Can you kind of walk us through that concept and the benefit that has, I guess, not just on the body, but also on the mind?
Yeah. Well, it's like you were saying, they make a decision that they're going to start getting fit. And so then everything changes. Like, man, they are working out 7 days a week. They're cutting out all the carbs. They're making sure they've got, the shakes in, the protein, and it's such a rapid shock, right? So they, and mentally and physically, your body just isn't going to be able to do it. So the approach that I took, and this is just kind of even for me personally, I just took a look at kind of my diet, because I know diet's about 95% of it, maybe 90% something like that. And I said, okay, I'm gonna cut out orange juice. I'm from Florida. I grew up. I used to drink orange juice like going out of style. And then I started looking at the sugar. And I started looking at the calories. And over time, when I cut that out, it had that law of compounding effect where I was taking out, let's say, 120 to 240 calories a day. And so when you look at that over time, you can add that caloric deficit up, and you're just going to, if everything stayed stable right there, you can start to see that, hey, you're reducing your caloric deficit, and if it's below the amount of calories that you're, taking in, you're going to start seeing some change. And so that's one thing right there is that I have people take a look at, what is it? I mean, is it they're having a Coke a day or 2 Cokes a day. I mean, people could make a huge difference in their lives and their fitness and their weight loss if they cut out the sugar. And where is it coming from? Or maybe they're taking in too many foods that are, saturated in fat and high in calories. So if they just kind of change that up a little bit. So that's kind of the premise behind it. And the other thing is, like, when you talk about the psychological side of it, is when you start seeing some results and some improvement and some feeling, you just kind of feed off of that momentum. And so then you've got that one thing. So then you add another thing to it. Maybe it's drinking more water. Maybe it's getting 8 hours of sleep. Maybe it's actually eating sensible meals and not going long hours without having something. So it's that compounding effect that just changing one thing over time will make a difference, and over the period of a year, as well as then taking one thing and then adding another habit, adding something else to that, and it just continues to snowball and help with overall change and transformation.
Yeah, and I think that's probably important to success, because people don't, realize, I guess, the small changes, I guess, really do make a big difference. You said something there about diet, right, being 95% of it. When you say that, diet is 95% of what? And I know diet is one of the big things that affects things like, diabetes and cholesterol and high blood pressure and things like that. How important is the exercise part of it? How important is it even to go beyond, walking that mile a day into, do you have people that are, in their 40s, 50s and beyond doing things like strength training, working with weights and things on a regular basis?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing is like, again, I nutrition is a huge part of the weight loss side of it. And also some of the other, physiological aspects, whether it be, your blood pressure, your blood lipid levels, but when you talk about even, strength training from a standpoint of getting older, females with bone density, you start to lose lean mass at a higher rate as you get older. And so having, lean mass, meaning building muscle, at this age and having as much as possible is going to be really beneficial going down the future and as you get older, as well as with cardiovascular. I mean, it's a different, I'm not in the camp that says, hey, you should just do all resistance training and no cardiovascular. And there's some people that believe that. There's some people that believe you don't have to do any resistance training. All you need to do is cardio, because the cardiovascular system is different as well. That's your heart. That's your muscle strength. It controls a lot of other aspects, your lung functioning. So there's more to it than just the diet. But when people really want to, come and want that weight loss, a lot of it starts with the nutrition, the diet, and then throwing in the exercise, the resistance training, the cardiovascular is the other component. So it's like a car, one cylinder's going good if you're doing the diet, but then you're not doing any exercise. So, or if you're just doing the cardio, you're not functioning as a full unit. So I guess that's probably a good analogy that I would use.
When you talk about diet and nutrition, if I was to Google right now how to lose 20 pounds, right, I would probably get 50 different articles that would tell me 50 different ways that probably a lot of them are completely conflicting each other.
Oh, yeah.
Don't eat carbs. No, don't eat sugar. Drink this shake. Take this supplement. And I've had that before. And I think, one, it's stressful because no matter what you eat, you always can find something that says you're doing it wrong, right?
Yeah.
And I've had people where I've started on a program and I start making these smoothies and so, I got a lot of spinach and stuff in there, but let me throw in some strawberries and bananas to kind of help the taste. And people are like, no, you can't put strawberries and bananas. That's full of sugar. That's terrible for you. And I come back and I say, you know what? It's probably better than the Pop-Tart I would have had,
Absolutely. No, that's a good point.
So how strict and does it, or is it really kind of where the person is starting? But is it really about doing a strict diet and exercise program, or is it about doing it better than you were doing it before?
Yeah, that's a great question. Because I think that's part of the problem that we face is that there's so much information out there, and so much conflicting information that you're right. People get, they're locked. They don't know what to do, and so that's where, again, if you're just starting out and you're just, wanting to start doing things better, I say sensible. What I mean by that is that you're eating the things that, let's say, back in the good old days where they, meats, and protein and some dairy, you're not taking in a lot of processed foods, but you're eating, several meals a day that include the proper nutrients that you need. And you're looking at, okay, if 2,000 calories is what I should be taking in on a daily basis. That's, and again, there's ways to find that out. That's not hard to do, which is, they've got calculators out there where you can get your testing done. But you figure out, okay, how many calories I need to take in. And then this is, if I want to lose weight, I just need a deficit of that number. So if it's 2,500 calories that I need to take in, I know that I should just be taking in 2,000 calories. Now, should it contain probably less sugar and less fats and all that? Yeah. But if you just to start it and would focus in on just that aspect, you're going to see a difference. You're going to start to see a difference. Now, is that something that I would put maybe somebody who is really trying to get those last 5 pounds off, or those last where they're really active and, then they might be doing something different. Again, that's kind of, just the level where you're at. But if you were just to make it simplified, if you just started to take a look, and that's the thing is I'm not a big calorie counter, but initially when you have people write down what they're eating, and now we've got apps to do it, it's really simple. They don't realize, man, I just ate 1,000 calories for lunch, and they had 1,000 calories at breakfast. So they're at 2,000 calories and they still have dinner to eat. And so if they eat another 1,000 calories, that's 3,000. They're only supposed to take in, say, 2,500. They're already 500 above, and then they're not working out. So you can see how that can kind of play into. So if you just took the approach of, hey, look at what you're eating, look at how many calories initially that you're taking in, and kind of get a sense of, okay, I know I need to take in less than what my body says I should. And again, that can be found out through calculation. You can do RMR calculations online. There's plenty of calculators that do that. It's just a baseline, which would be, helpful for most people.
I think that is something that it probably has a lot to do with success is that drastic difference in changing a lifestyle very quickly versus just making some better choices. And I think that's probably contributes a lot to success and sticking with things over the long term. One of the things that people have problems with is falling off the wagon, right? Whether it's for a week or sometimes it's for years. You have a story about how you, at one point, what was it, 4 years? There's a 4-year period that you let your health go, and before you start getting refocused. How did that happen, and what made you decide to pull it back together?
I'd had 2 kids, and I was starting up my own business, and I got to the mindset whereas, okay, I'm just going to do the bare minimum, meaning I would get up there and I would do 30 minutes on the elliptical, or maybe I would do 30 minutes or 45 minutes just on the bike, or I do 30 minutes of weight training. And I wasn't challenging myself. I wasn't pushing myself. And, from here and there, my nutrition wasn't as good as it could be. I would start eating off my kids' plates. having, just those extra calories thrown in. And then, as I'm getting older, things start changing too. So you got to change what you do. You can't continue to eat the way you used to eat back when you were 20. Your metabolism is just different. So, for most of us. So I had gotten to that point where I was like, wow, I mean, I had weighed the most, but in my mind, I didn't think that. And it just kind of, it clicked. And I realized that, hey, if I'm going to be able to be functional and have a quality life when my kids are older, and if they have kids or grandkids, I had to change something. And a couple different things kind of played a part in that, but I made the decision that I was going to be fit, even if I was 40 or older, and I was going to try to be in the best shape of my life. And so I made that decision to change. And so again, I started tweaking little things and then kept adding and kept, at this point, I'm still trying to figure things out, because I'm still changing. So I got to keep changing and I just keep moving forward.
Let's talk about the what it means to work with a coach. All right. And a lot of people, it seems like when it comes to diet, they're willing to blindly follow someone that they think has the answer. And it seems to be, especially in the diet and fitness industry, a lot of people have the answer. What is, obviously working with a coach is more than, even though people would like it to be, okay, just tell me what to eat and what exercises to do and I'll do it. Right. So working with a coach is obviously more than just tell me what to do. Because I think in the grand scheme of things, most people, if they thought purely logically, they would realize, do a setup and don't eat that ice cream and I'll probably lose weight. Right.
Yeah.
But there's so much more to that. So kind of describe to me what working with a coach means more than just, hey, do this, don't do that.
Yeah. And, I've always looked at myself as a coach as opposed to a trainer. Now, again, there's nothing wrong with that word or being called a trainer, but a coach in my mind is looking at the individual and looking at, okay, what are their capabilities? What are their limiting beliefs? What are their barriers? What's happening? Why aren't they performing at the level that they can? And then finding ways to ultimately get them to their end result, and not just motivating, but keeping them accountable, because accountability is a big part of it as well. When you have somebody that's looking after you and that's going to be on you, and people are at all different levels. Some people they have to text every meal that they have, so they're like, oh my gosh, I've got to text my coach what I'm eating. He's going to kill me, and they've changed their mind. So it's a lot of different things thrown in there. Again, it's all about trying to bring the best out of the individual, and tweaking and reevaluating and pushing them to another level that they didn't think that they could. And so that's kind of where I see as a coach, and me personally, when I use coaches, that's what I want. Because I need that same type of accountability. I need that same type of extra push because, unfortunately, like I said, you kind of can get to that point where you just go, okay, I'm going to go do 30 minutes on the elliptical. But no, if I'm working out with a coach and they're like, well, you're going to do 30 minutes, but you're going to go 30 minutes hardcore full tilt or whatever, so that's where I see, the coaching standpoint.
Well, let's talk about the challenge. All right, the Fit Over 40 challenge, because challenge seems to imply that it puts a target on something and it's a finite time, and I think that's what gets people motivated, especially anybody that has an ounce of competitiveness in it, even if it's competitive within themselves. So, what is the Fit Over 40 challenge?
Yeah, part of it stemmed from one of the things that triggered my getting back into shape was I actually did a 100 push-up challenge. And what the goal was every day we wanted to get 100 push-ups in. And so you had to do that, and you had to go to this website to log in and say that you did it. And if you missed several days, if you didn't stick to your goal, you actually had to pay to a charity that you didn't believe in, or whatever. So it got me to that point. Well, I'm not going to not do this. I'm going to make sure that, I get this done, because I'm not giving money to this charity. So the whole challenge behind it is to get you to, like you said, have that timeline, have that end result, so that you can continue to have a vision of where you want to be. Okay. And then again, I kind of, the way I look at it is I break it up. So I always like to do 90-day challenges, but again, the long run, I'm saying Fit Over 40 challenge is that you are going to make 40, your decade of your 40s, the best decade in terms of your health and fitness. So that's going to push you beyond into your later years, 50s and 60s. So, when you talk about challenge, it's kind of two-part, I guess. So you're breaking down short-term goals, but then also having a long-term goal, being that in the decades of your 40s to be as fit as you can. So
it does. And I kind of think, is it also perhaps a sneaky way to develop a habit?
Yeah, absolutely. Because that's, when you get those 90 days worth of doing something, it's going to change your lifestyle, because, research has shown that. And when you start changing things and you get that momentum, you're like, wow, I just did 90 days and I did this. What can I do in the next 90 days? So it's that law of compounding as well, so that you just keep going. Things change. 90 days here, the next 90 days, you might still have that same, maybe you didn't hit 10 pounds that you wanted to lose, but hey, you lost 8. Okay. So now the 90-day challenge again will change a little bit more. Well, hey, you know what? I lost 8 pounds. Why can't I lose another 5? Or maybe I can go for another 10. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like you said there. It's a sneaky way to get you to form habits and to get you to change your lifestyle, which eventually snowballs. And over time, you're going to see a major transformation.
So, this has been incredible information, and I think it really changes a lot of the way people think about their fitness, and it's not just a binary all or nothing, right? It's something that
Correct.
can be improved and to work on, and that I think the one thing that you provide is the method. It makes becoming fit over 40 and 50, and even becoming in the best shape of your life into your 50s and 60s. It's not only believable, but it actually seems achievable. It seems like something I can realistically achieve. So I want to thank you for coming on and sharing this with folks. How can people find out more about the Fit Over 40 challenge, and learn more about Dave McGarry?
Yeah, I'm on several different social media networks, Facebook and Instagram, but I do have a website, and shockingly, it's called fitover40challenge.com, where I've got blog posts as well as links to the podcast and stuff. And so they can get, a hold of me there. And, if they want to reach out and just, I'll get on a coaching call with them, a 10-minute call where we kind of just talk about themselves and see if I can help them. And they can just email me at dave@davemcgarry.com and just put in their coaching in the subject. And I answer all my emails. So we can do that. And, I'd love to get them. I also have a free Facebook group that just for anybody. It's all about healthandfitness.com and there's just lots of like-minded people in there. Again, that goes back to the accountability that I talked about earlier, having others around you that are like-minded. help. So they can join the group for free as well.
And what about the Fit Over 40 Challenge book? How can we get a hold of that?
Yeah, it's available on Kindle and paperback from Amazon, or also any major online or offline book retailer.
All right. Well, fantastic. We'll definitely put a link to that on the show post as well. And, I think what you're doing is so important and affects so many lives. And like we talked about, not just the lives of the people that, are making that decision to get fit, but the lives of the people around them, their loved ones, their family members, their friends. It really is affecting their lives as well. So I want to thank you for coming on and sharing this.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate you having me on. It was great. So thank you very much.
All right. Well, there you have it, folks. Definitely check it out. The Fit Over 40 Challenge, the podcast, the book. We'll have the links right there on the show post. And until next time on Influencers Radio, remember, you are the only real game changer.
You've been listening to Influencers Radio. To get all past shows and updates on future shows, visit influencersradio.com today or follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/influencersradio.